So, some parts of the world that are so violent in terms of crime rates that they may as well be seen as war zones. If you look at Wikipedia, there's a list of ongoing conflicts. This shows all the armed conflicts in the world. And most of these are political, religious, or over natural resources, but there are some where the crime situation has got so bad they're actually now classed effectively as an armed conflict, and that's the situation in Haiti. Haiti unfortunately gets very, very little positive news. This is a country that's associated with, well, it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but it's associated with political instability, violence, endemic poverty, natural disasters, and in the 2020s, gang warfare. That's not to say that gang warfare began in the 2020s, but it's got particularly bad over the last 3 years. So much so that I came across one report earlier. I think it was actually the BBC, and they stated that 2,400 civilians have been reported killed this year, which is actually more than civilians killed in Ukraine this year, which is really a sobering thought. It's a very, very dangerous place. In Port-au-Prince, it said that up to 90% of the city is now controlled by gangs. I know to compound matters, the current president, Ariel Henry, I think that's a silent H with the French, is said to be complicit in the assassination of former President Juvenal Moise, in 2021. Um, so it's hard not to conclude that this is it's a failed state. Um, and I'm not giving the sort of stigmatizing thing that Donald Trump came out with, because I think um, that doesn't really help matters. Basically, calling it quote unquote a shithole country. I don't think I have huge sympathy for ordinary Haitians suffering this. Um, I'm going to put a link on this to a BBC report now. I've been critical of the BBC recently on other matters, but this one is quite insightful. And there's an interview with a journalist who runs a newspaper, and he points out the hypocrisy of gang leaders. This is not his words, but this is what he's touching on, of gang leaders talking against foreign intervention being a problem for Haiti because they are causing many of the problems. Um, you know, Foreign intervention wouldn't be popular among Haitians, but I saw an interview with one of the most powerful gang leaders who goes by the charming nickname of Barbecue. Um, and basically, he was talking about when the Uruguayans came in, they raped women. When the Nepalis came in, they spread cholera, which killed 20,000 Haitians. My question was, well, what the hell are you doing? You're a gang leader. Your gang members are terrorizing ordinary Haitians. Um, the suburb of de Soleil, especially, it's basically there's no way in or out. People are trapped in there. It's it's a humanitarian crisis, really, and this goes well beyond crime. I mean, this is I was watching last night, actually the night before, the cult film The Warriors. If you know that movie, it's basically a fictional account of New York street gangs in the late 70s. Now, New York City in the late 70s was a dangerous place. Crime was out of control. But the film's kind of become a cult hit. Basically, if you don't know the plot, it's about one particular gang having to get home from the Bronx to Coney Island in one night. It's a great movie. It's well made. Um, but I was thinking earlier, some of the gangs in that are quite intimidating, quite scary. They're violent. But what's going on in Haiti? Far, far, far worse. Um, I mean, bear in mind it's a small country, 11 million people, about the same as Belgium. Um, and it's a dismal, dismal situation. And without wanting to sound superstitious, you do wonder, are some countries just cursed? How much can one population take? They suffered a major earthquake 2 years ago. I think almost 2,000 people killed. Actually, over 2,000. That's compounded by cyclones that hit, excuse me, hurricanes in that region. Endemic poverty, endemic corruption, and all of this is compounded. So these gangs that talk about, speaking out against foreign intervention, what the hell are they doing to make the country better? I mean, and what's actually happened now is there's been a rise in vigilante violence. There's a movement called Bois Calais, which basically vigilante violence, and it's pretty brutal. I mean, it's involving people with machetes and so on, but these are desperate people who feel there's no other choice. It's very easy to judge that, but if you're being terrorized by ruthless criminals, at some point, and you've no functioning police effectively, you've no functioning state, then, or at least a very minimal functioning state, you may feel that there is no other choice. Of course, the gangs are armed with machine guns and heavy weapons. They've got machetes. But honestly, to me, it has echoes of Sierra Leone or Liberia and the civil wars that were going on there. It looks like that. And there's parts of Haiti right now that may as well be war zones. Um, I know that foreign intervention is unpopular given Haiti's history, and given that this was a country that was founded on, a great deal of pride from a slave uprising, um, the Haitian Revolution, which coincided with the Napoleonic Wars, well, the French Revolutionary Wars. So Haitians are understandably proud people, but I think even many Haitians at this point realize there is no other choice but some sort of foreign intervention. President Henri's called for it. Um, can the Kenyans do it? Because that's a country that's been cited. I know several countries have tried to get involved there. It's almost like Afghanistan. It's almost like unwinnable. But I hope the Kenyans can. Um, of course, they've got their own experience of violent crime. Um, but it's just a tragic situation because it's ordinary Haitians who are paying for this with these ruthless gangs. They may as well be terrorists. Um, and it's such a tragedy what's happening in that country. So I hope it can get some respite. And I hope the only thing with a vigilantism, and this is not to judge as an outsider because I'd probably be thinking the same thing. There is a risk that people could falsely be accused of being gang members and then you know burned alive or they're lynched. It's a brutal, brutal situation. But the likes of barbecue, they're going to have to answer to their country, to their compatriots. It's like the cartels in Mexico. They're doing nothing to build a better future. They can blame corruption, they can blame the state, they can blame outsiders, but in the end of the day, they're just empowering themselves. They're not helping ordinary Haitians. And I just hope that the Kenyan mission can succeed. And I hope that ordinary Haitians understand it's got to this point where I don't see any other way because without foreign intervention, these gangs will just run, like a dictatorship. If they're running the place, they may as well be the Duvaliers. Um, so that's my thoughts. If any Haitians happen to be watching this, let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on foreign intervention? And stay safe. And let me know what is the situation on the ground. Obviously, I'm not there, so I'm only going by what I've seen in media reports. But it looks like a very grim situation. Excuse me. Um, I just hope this can minimize, at least minimize the violence, can minimize, and these gangs. I don't know. Maybe if the vigilantes and the Bois Calais movement, if it sort of sufficiently shocks the gangs into, apparently in some cases it has actually reduced kidnapping, so it's had some effect. But I just hope that country can have a brighter future, and the only way I can see that happening is is for various things to change, for Haitians to start being able to be in a position to trust their government, for the gangs to be weakened. It's the only way. Thanks for watching.